For 10 years, we made games just for fun, with no intent to sell them or to reach an audience. Then, 3 years ago, we decided to work on our first commercial game, First of Asfangen, an auto-scrolling bullet hell roguelite. We have this huge branching talent tree, and every decision you make in the game influences your way through this talent tree. There are already over 100 talents in the demo currently, and each of them has its unique design and flavor text. But why am I telling you this? Well, obviously because I want you to check out the Steam page and wishlist the game, but also because this video is about what we learned getting there. You know, when you look at games, it always seems so straightforward, but it is not. Believe me, it never is. We got to this point by trying out all sorts of things. At an early stage, the game had a neon art style and it played in space. There was also a phase where the game was extremely slow. Oh, and for some versions it was a rhythm game. So we collected all our wisdom and prepared some slides for you. Please enjoy.
Make a web demo. You want people to play your game, so give them the chance to do so. A demo gives you discoverability. Just look at our Steam wishlists before and after the demo. And bonus points if you can make a web export, because it is so easy to share and works on every platform. Also, a web demo allows you to put your games on web game platforms where people actually play it. It's not only free visibility, it is visibility you get paid for. Depending on the deal you want, you get a share of the ad revenue on your game or license it out for a fee. This can easily be hundreds of dollars. I don't know, but getting paid for a demo kinda feels like a free money glitch.
Start with the core loop and build around it. It is hard to define what makes a game fun, but a satisfying game loop helps for sure. Try to make your game fun without impressive visuals and surrounding systems. An upgrade tree can make everything somewhat gratifying, and you can add that later, but make sure the absolute core is fun on its own.
Art does not need to be the focus. Games are about gameplay. And if you really want to, art is something you can work around. You can always use pre-made assets or find an art style that you can just do anyway, without any skills. There are amazing games in simple styles, and you can emulate them, like this 1-bit pixel art. It's pretty doable. Try to find an art style that suits your strengths, but also your weaknesses.
Use version control. JIT seems intimidating, and honestly, it can be a pain to work with in some cases. But the scary thing about JIT are the merge conflicts, when different people change different things on the same lines of code. And of course the poor system does not know what to do. But if you work alone or in a small team, merge conflicts do not happen. We never had a single one, because we talk to each other. And apart from that, it's quite easy to work with. There are graphical UIs for JIT, which means you don't need to type in the console, and you can put your project on private on GitLab or GitHub, so no one sees it. It is amazing to have a safe backup and to be able to roll back files.
Check the engine documentation and use Google, especially if you're working with strings or vectors or something like that, and you find yourself implementing something complex. Take a minute and check if there isn't already an engine function for that specific thing. Far too often I implemented something that is already there, and this is a waste of time and adds useless lines of code to your project.
Make small games until you are ready for the big ones. So we learned this one the hard way. Start by making small games. There is no reason to start with your big ambitious project. You will get around to it. But look at what even banger studios like Supergiant Games did. They didn't jump straight into their magnum opus. They established procedural storytelling and all their unique systems over multiple games. It's like a cheat. You can reuse parts of your own games forever. So make a game where you try out your unique combat system. Finish it, learn something, sell it for cheap, and reuse the same combat system later. What do you think is going to happen with the codebase of First of Asfangen?
Edit at runtime if your engine allows it. And it should. If your engine allows editing at runtime, this can be so efficient to work with. You can edit an enemy's behavior, look at it, and adjust it again and again and again. Imagine restarting the game every time and compiling. It's the pure dread. Okay, it's doable, but if you don't have to, don't.
Don't fear to rip mechanics and styles. No one owns a style. No one owns a game mechanic, unless it is patented, but it's usually not. This does not mean you should one-for-one copy a game. This likely would not be effective anyway. But why not combine mechanics, art styles, etc. that are already proven in a new way? Spiritfall is basically Hades as a platform fighter, and it's great actually. Creativity does not exist in a vacuum. Combine things in a new way, improve them, add something unique on top.
Manage expectations. You will never make a game for every single player in the world. And the more people know your game, the more people will dislike it. This means that people disliking your game is a good thing.
Don't be afraid of someone ripping you off. Game devs are often scared of showing their games early because people could steal their ideas. But honestly, the game devs I met do not need your ideas. In fact, they don't even want them. It takes 10 minutes to come up with a game idea and multiple years to make the game. The rest of game ideas is written down somewhere and you will never get around to making them. And even if someone is inspired by your idea, you are ahead in development time now, and their interpretation will be entirely different from yours anyway. Because one mechanic is just a very small piece of the puzzle. However, there are exceptions. There is the rare situation where your game is just that one idea that is really easily replicated. Like Donut County versus Hole.io. Hole.io. Okay. In this case, okay, don't share it. But for 99% of devs, your game is so much more than just one idea, and no one can copy it. What about a platform fighter? But you are the platform.
Don't leave that in.
Learn some basic shaders. Shaders are scary and weird, but some impressive effects are done in just a few lines, and everyone can do it. Really, no exaggeration, like a flashing sprite or giving it an outline. Flash the outline with a bunch of tutorials and they all are simple. When I can do it, you can do it. I am not very smart.
So how I would go about implementing hue shift is by googling hue shift shader formula.
Every game engine is good. People tend to ask for the best game engine, and each engine has its strengths and weaknesses. But it is not that important after all. Your skills are the deciding factor, and you can make great games in Unity or Unreal or in GameMaker or in Godot or in any of the RPG makers. Use no engine at all or use libraries, etc, etc. Still, I have my personal favorites. And I really like starting game dev with the RPG Maker. For commercial 2D games, my choice is Godot. Still, the best game engine is the one you personally vibe the best with. If you like it, your choice is good.
Think about how to keep your data. If you have a game with complex data, please, for the love of Lucifer, do not represent it in JSON files or in code. But for everything balance related, spreadsheets are so much easier to work with. You can even export the spreadsheet as JSON if you're afraid of parsing a CSV file, which is not that hard. But believe me, in the long run, being able to actually understand your data at a glance is very helpful. I mean, look at this. You can use color. Color!
Whoa, color! Iterate your design. Nothing comes out perfect the first time, and you can never foresee players. You can have a plan, but be ready for reality to come and destroy it. No mechanic turns out quite like you imagined it. Of course not, you cannot simulate all stats, all players in your head. This would be scary. Test ideas out, look at what works and what doesn't, and then revise. No one can foresee how a player thinks. The only way to find out is to ask them.
Players can be entitled. Please don't forget that players can be very entitled. Your community is mostly made out of very nice people, and most of them will never say something because they are there to play your game and not to talk to you. Most people just don't talk to game devs. They are quietly enjoying your game. There are also amazing people that leave encouraging messages. But there is a very small and very loud minority of people that come with a specific kind of attitude. There will be people proclaiming that your game is bad unless you do exactly what they want. Or they just tell you your game is bad to feel important for once. There will also be well-meaning backseat game designers in your community that played many games and now think they can design them, but they would never go through the trouble of doing it themselves. And there are many other kinds. Generally, players are amazing at telling what they don't like, but they are very bad at telling you how to fix it. It's your job to find that out. And it is your job to stay nice and only rant in private. But always take player feedback with a grain of salt and never weigh it higher than your own judgment. There's always someone shouting to make the game harder and one shouting to make it easier, and probably both are wrong.
Refactor your code, or it will turn hostile. Your codebase constantly gets more cluttered with every line you add. It would be great if you could write code perfectly and never touch it again, But in practice, requirements change and things turn out to have unforeseeable consequences. So keep in mind that technical debt is a thing. Plan for constant time investment to make old code less ugly.
Post-processing. A little bit of post-processing is the easiest way to give your game a polished feel. Just take a moment, see if glow looks nice on your game. Sometimes it looks really good, sometimes it doesn't. But especially play around with saturation and contrast. Maybe even a little bit of color correction if you're feeling fancy. It can make your game look so much more interesting. And you can even adjust it at runtime for some very cool and very easy effects.
Show early, even if it's difficult. People react harshly to early versions of games, because most people have no concept of how a game looks in an unfinished state. People tend to play finished games and will judge yours as such. But who cares if you get some bad or unfair feedback? It does not harm you if you don't let it, and even in misguided feedback, there often is something useful in there. This is the only way of getting early player feedback.
Keep playing games. One way to learn game design is to play a lot and analyze. After I learned some basics about shaders, most of the stuff I know now is from just looking at games and asking myself how they did it. And the same goes for mechanics and visual styles. Once you have basic knowledge in that area, you can play with different eyes. And when you are done with that, try to understand the designer's choice. Also, if you get sucked into game dev as a hobby, this naturally cuts into your other hobbies, such as gaming, unfortunately. These things seem related, but they are different hobbies. We actively make time to play games, so we don't isolate ourselves. And so we don't lose gaming as a hobby.
If you want to keep doing game dev, write code for the future. Not every line of code is made for reuse, but there are things you will need again and again in different projects. Take that bit of extra time to make your code reusable for things like options, maybe your dialog system, save and load scripts, etc. Just to make that next project easier than the current one.
If your process is tedious, do not power through it, fix your process. If there's a part of large manual effort that you dread to do, please automate it. Most tasks will be repeated a lot, and an annoying process can hit your motivation. On the other hand, a nice automation can just be fun. Like this stupid macro I wrote for the data tables. It was a bit of a butt pain to do, but now everything exports in the right folders when I press a single button, and it makes me feel very, very powerful.
Always under scope. Games grow, sometimes in good ways and sometimes in bad ways, and you should be aware of that. If you scope your game in a way that feels adequate to your time and skills, you have no room in case you have forgotten something. And of course, you have. Something will be more difficult than you thought, a system does not work out like you planned, or you just did not plan obvious features, like saving. Also, the best features tend to reveal themselves midway in development, because at this point you know everything fell into place and it's easy to see what your systems are capable of. If your scope is already full, you have no room to account for these great last-minute ideas. Also, often players come up with great ideas and you want to be able to react to that.
Your game should respond immediately. Sudden spikes are fine when responding to user input. Usually you want stuff in your game to happen smoothly. Objects popping in look weird. Sudden movements can be disorienting, but actions triggered by the players are an exception. The brain is really good at connecting events that happen right after each other or more or less at the same time. A menu popping into a frame might look weird when happening automatically, but can be totally fine if the player triggers it. This also goes for attack animations. They can start way more aggressive than many other animations and make the game feel much more responsive.
Prioritize learning. There are many games out there, and the only safe way to be noticed is to eventually get so good your game is impossible to ignore. But how do you get there? As an indie dev, you have to do a million different things. Most of them you likely have no experience in. And in the long run, every bit of learning is worth so much. Maybe buying an asset pack is faster now, but getting basic pixel art skills is just helpful. Same goes for sound effects. Will I ever be a sound engineer? Probably not. But learning how to put some sounds together and get something usable is something that makes me a better game dev. Budget your time in a way that allows for learning, not just stuff that produces direct results.
Play your own game. You should take the time and play your game, but make sure to have a goal in mind. When your game becomes fun eventually, it is easy to start out testing a feature and slipping into just playing it. And this will cut into your coding time. This is a good sign for your game, but still try to keep it in check. If you don't want to play your own game, be honest about this to yourself and ask yourself why. You will likely be able to fix it if you can confront it. So we really hope you found this video helpful. If you want to support us,
feed me your soul.